Hello, YouTube Pipers, and welcome to my channel. Needless to say, I've decided to give this pipe vid thing a go. We'll see how it works. I have a few house rules for myself. I can't smoke inside for various reasons. So in this little room, which contains my pipe corner, I'm afraid I'll have to be smoke-free, although I will display pipes now and then and tobaccos. Occasionally I can make a video, I suppose, outside where I will be able to smoke. The trade-off is I won't have assurance of privacy, so we're just going to have to see how that goes, but we'll give it a shot. I thought I'd begin, and I like to keep these videos on the short side, I hope, although once I get going, who the heck knows where I'll end up. But I thought I'd tell a little bit about myself. I've been smoking a pipe since the mid-1960s. I believe I was in late junior high school. I think it was before I actually started high school. That my father, who was a pipe smoker, also a cigar smoker and a cigar chewer, offered to set me up with a pipe because he didn't want me to take up cigarettes, which I think is a pretty good strategy. I never really became a cigarette smoker. I will confess that when I was with friends in high school who were smoking cigarettes, I would buy cigarettes, but like Bill Clinton and marijuana, I never inhaled. In this case, though, I really mean that. I sort of fake it, but I always made sure to buy menthol cigarettes because at least I got a minty taste in my mouth, so it wasn't a total loss. Cigarettes were cheap back then, but I never became a cigarette smoker. I never liked inhaling. So I always stuck with the pipe. And he set me up with Middleton's Cherry Blend, which is probably a very common starter tobacco for people, at least back in that day. These days, maybe others are used as starters. And I had the usual sort of negative experience. I burned my tongue, I couldn't keep it lit, and I probably wasn't terribly excited. I don't remember getting a lot of tips from my father, oddly enough. Although my older brother, who was also smoking a pipe at that time, gave me some tips, I believe. Somebody was helping me a little bit, but I was pretty much left out in the wilderness. It was from my brother that I first heard the name Mac Baren, a name I'm quite fond of these days. Very good tobacco company based in Denmark. So that's how I got my start, and in that time, my pipe smoking waxed and waned depending on various situations. So I never gave it up by any kind of principle, but there were times when I fell in with the wrong people. By that I mean non-smokers. And I was always a super considerate smoker. I didn't like smoking around non-smokers. I always felt I was imposing on people. This is even before the anti-smoking crusade got into full gear. So there were times when my smoking reduced, maybe brief periods to zero, but maybe somewhat above zero most of the time. But then other times, quite active, again, depending on who I was hanging out with. I can recall fond memories in high school and early college when I was working for a company in downtown Philadelphia where I was born and raised and went to college. I worked in the City Hall, which is right smack dab in the middle of Center City, Broad Street and Market Street. And I would take my 2-hour lunch hours, yeah, you heard that right, and hang out at the great old tobacco shops in downtown Philadelphia. Philadelphia is one of those old eastern cities that has some real institutions in the Department of Tobaccos and great tobacconists who have been around for a long time. Some of them, I'm sure, at this point are gone because we're talking about, what, 50 years ago. And that's where I learned about tobacco and smelled all kinds of tobaccos. And I have very fond memories today. I can open up a pouch or a tin and be taken back by the whiff of Latakia or something else, and just reminds me of those days. I can also recall my father's tobaccos. I remember names, I remember cans, pictures of cans, and I've since tried some of those tobaccos. I know he used to smoke Granger, which is available today. It's a very tasty, purely burley tobacco. He smoked Captain Black, he smoked Briggs, I think was the name, maybe Edgeworth, and I can remember him sitting in his easy chair watching the news with a paper bag, like a lunch kind of brown bag on his lap with tobacco inside, shaking it, which means he was blending. I don't know what he was blending, but I have very fond memories of him frequently doing that. I should have asked more questions at the time, but I didn't ask enough questions. But meanwhile, he gave me a pipe or two, and he gave me one beautiful pipe, which I'll show at some point, which is a Danish-made Celius root Knight, the model Knight number 13, which is a freehand Danish, smooth, straight grain, gorgeous pipe. And I promise to show it at some point. I don't have it in reach at the moment. It's over there, really further along in my my pipe corner. My pipe career also includes some other things. I worked briefly for a tobacco vendor in an old S. Klein department store in Northeast Philadelphia, which had a not quite a kiosk, but a tobacco stand that had pipe tobaccos. Not a huge array. Some probably inexpensive pipes, Dr. Grabo's, K. Woody's, Yellow Balls, Medico, and some other things, lighters. And I remember starting there in a peak season of Christmas and staying one for a while. That was sort of fun. I hardly gave me a lot of experience in the tobacco field, and I didn't go into that as a career, but I did learn something. It was kind of fun, and probably also helped to stimulate my pipe interest. I'll tell you quickly about my collection. I see I'm getting on here about 6 minutes. I have about 60 pipes, I would think. It might be a little higher now. I've bought a few lately. And this prompts a thought about corncob pipes, which I call the Rodney Dangerfield of pipes, because I often notice that even people who like corncob pipes will say, if you ask them how many pipes you have, they'll say something like, well, if I don't count my cobs, I have N number. And I always wonder, why wouldn't you count your cobs? They're not second-class pipe citizens. They're full class. And so I count them. I have 60. I don't know if I'm even reaching 70 yet. Many of them are corn cobs. Some of the higher-end corn cobs from Missouri Meerschaum. There's some very nice ones that a couple they designed with Cornell and Deal and a few others. And some of the lower end, including an unfinished one and one of their Maplewood hardwood pipes, which I like quite a bit. They're great smokers, and you have no hesitation in walking around the street smoking one of them or recommending them to people. I have what I regard as a nice little collection of basket pipes, and basket pipes, of course, used to be in baskets. They were seconds, inexpensive pipes that tobacco shops would sell very low cost, $20, $30 maybe, and they would sometimes be hanging in a series of baskets from the ceiling. And you could find all kinds of shapes. I've been very lucky with them. I've found some very interesting shapes, unusual ones that to this day, and I'm talking about 50 years, smoke very well and are unusual, and they're very well made. I have one example here which I'll show, which I think is quite nice. Put my hand there for contrast. I've since had a tobacco shop tobacconist put a little bend in the stem. I thought it would be nice, but it's very rusticated except for the end there. Very deeply carved. It's hand carved. It's called Old Rarity. It's called hand finished, and it's Algerian briar, which is very respected briar. And I couldn't have spent more than $35 for this pipe. So you want to look out for sales like that. I've gotten Oompals and Pokers and other pretty decent pipes that were basket pipes, and I smoke them to this day. I have no regrets. But I have some better pipes. I don't have any really, really high-end pipes. I've never spent hundreds of dollars on a pipe, certainly not thousands. My most expensive pipe, maybe $120, $135. So I have some Savinellis, which you can find very reasonably priced. I have a bunch of Aldo Villani's, very nice Italian pipes that are moderately priced. I have a Molina. I have I have a bunch. I have some GBDs. I have some Conmoys. I have some pipes that I inherited from my father, which are quite nice. Ben Wade. I have several Nordings, which I think are very good pipes that you can find in the mid-level. So that's the sort of orientation. I'll try to make more of these if I like how this is coming out. I think we can have some fun. I have some views about tobaccos, which I haven't covered yet, but I'll cover that next time because I'm running on longer than I wanted to run. And otherwise, have a good day, have a good smoke, whatever day this may be. I hope it's a good one. I'm happening to be recording this on Mother's Day. So I bid you all a good day, and see you soon. Bye. Hey folks, I forgot to mention, I'll try to tag this on to the first video, that I have a blog. I think I have about 50 posts now, and I hope you'll visit it. It's called A Hobby Not a Habit, and the URL is hobbynothabit.blog. That's hobbynothabit.blog. I hope you'll follow it. Hope you'll visit it now and then, leave comments. Let's get a good discussion going. I try to cover all kinds of things, including government encroachment on the rights of smokers, but lighter things as well. So I look forward to seeing you there and also back here when I do my next video. See you all.